Let's talk about the MLB The Show 22 cover athlete today. As of right now, the time I'm making this video, we don't have any news. We don't have the cover athlete. We don't have the release date for the next game. They didn't talk about the Show 21 until February 1st last year, so if they're keeping that same trend alive, we could expect news probably within a couple weeks. But that's not going to stop us from talking about the game today. In this video, I'm going to give you guys my 5 predictions on players that I think will be the cover athlete for the next game. I'm also going to talk about some players that I don't think will be on the cover for certain reasons. And feel free to let me know in the comments who you think is going to be on the cover of the Show 22 and why. Just remember that, they choose these players based off who they think is going to help sell the most copies of the game for that year. So let's go ahead and get it started with some of the, I guess you can call them honorable mentions. Let's go back to some older MLB The Show cover athletes. Let's go back to say like 19. I don't think we will be seeing Bryce Harper, Javier Baez, or Fernando Tatis Jr. on the cover this year. Think about it. A kid tells his mom, hey mom, when you go to Target, buy me the MLB The Show game with Bryce Harper on the cover. You're gonna walk home with MLB The Show 19 and the kid's gonna be sad. He's gonna get mad. It's a whole thing. Now with that, I also don't think we're gonna see any previous RBI baseball cover athletes on MLB The Show. We'll go back to 19 for that one too. So I don't think we'll see Alex Bregman. I don't think we'll see Christian Yelich, and I don't think we'll see Tim Anderson. Another guy that I don't think we'll see on the cover of MLB The Show this year is Mike Trout. Mike Trout has never been on an MLB The Show cover, and he's never been on an RBI baseball cover, but he's kind of the main man for the MLB 9 Innings mobile app. He's been their cover athlete guy since like 16, and I'm pretty sure there's some exclusivity deal there where they're not going to want him to be on the cover of MLB The Show as well. With that, we probably won't expect to see Cody Bellinger either, because he's been a featured cover athlete for that game too. MLB perfect inning, if we go back to 19, I don't think we're going to see Noah Syndergaard, Gleyber Torres, or Clayton Kershaw, but I don't think any of those 3 guys were really candidates this year. And then the last app that I know of that has actual cover athletes is Tap Sports Baseball. This past year, they had Ronald Acuna Jr. and Juan Soto. So I don't think we'll see those guys on the cover of MLB The Show this year. But it is kind of interesting because Aaron Judge was on the Tap Sports 20 cover, and he was the MLB The Show 18 cover athlete. So maybe it's like a 2-year exclusivity window. And that's going to lead me right into my number 5 player prediction for the cover this year. That's Mookie Betts. Now, Mookie Betts was on the cover of Tap Sports Baseball 19. So if we're going off the Aaron Judge and little exclusivity window there, it would make sense for him to fit on the cover this year. And one of the reasons I would say Mookie Betts would be a good cover athlete is because he actually had the top selling jersey in Major League Baseball in 2021. Now, yeah, 2021 was not Mookie's best season. It was, I guess you consider it more of a down year for Mookie, especially if you compare it to the last 3 seasons. But that did not stop his brand and his popularity from continuing to grow. I mean, like I said, the number 1 player in jersey sales, that's a big deal. Mike Trout was number like 13. And Mookie's just a really exciting player. I can't think of anybody out there that doesn't like watching Mookie Betts play baseball. I keep thinking back to that diving catch he made against the Padres on the last out of the game. Like, that was so sick, and seeing him get up with that emotion was awesome to watch. Mookie Betts is a perfect cover athlete guy for MLB The Show, and if, like I said, that 2-year exclusivity window is still kind of a thing, he would make sense to be a cover athlete this year for sure. All right, coming in at number 4, this one's a little bit up in the air, specifically because his current status. He's not technically signed with the team, but I'm going into this under the impression that he will probably re-sign with the Braves, and that's going to be Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's a great cover athlete for MLB The Show. Similar to Mookie Betts, everybody loves watching Freddie Freeman. Well, maybe fans of NL East teams that aren't the Braves probably don't like watching him play, but you can't not love the charm that Freddie Freeman brings to the game. He's one of, if not the best first baseman in baseball. He's fresh off a World Series victory with a team that he's played his whole career with, and he's basically the face of that franchise next to Ronald Acuna Jr. Now, he didn't have the craziest high jersey sales. He was number 15, so I mean, that's still pretty good, but I'd be curious to see what he would be if the Braves made the postseason again in 2022 and the Braves went on a deep playoff run with him at the forefront again. I think that would probably boost it even more. Freddie Freeman is the man. Perfect cover athlete material, just a really good dude, and I really think fans would love it. So for the next 2 players, I gotta shout out my man Cardinals Reek on Twitter. He made these awesome covers for these next 2 players. Go drop him a follow. I'll leave his link in the description. Number 3, I have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Hello, I'm editing right now. Sorry for interrupting the video. When we're talking about Vlad, I actually just realized that Vlad is the Canadian cover athlete for RBI Baseball 20. Don't know if that would have any impact on him being the main cover athlete for MLB The Show 22, but I figured I have to point that out if I'm going to talk about it for guys like Mookie and stuff like that. So On to the rest of this. Now, Vladdy Jr. needs no introduction based off the season that he just had. He was chasing the Triple Crown for a while. He only lost the MVP because of a dude doing something that we've never seen before in baseball. You can bet we'll talk about that guy in this video too. Similar to Mookie, similar to Freddie, everybody loves watching Vladdy play. We finally got to see the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. that we all expected when he came up in the league in 2018. Or actually, no, it was 2019, I think. Yeah, 2019. He was a top prospect. He's the son of a Hall of Fame player, and he just had an incredible offensive season. He almost helped lead the Blue Jays to a playoff spot. They just barely missed out. Vladdy Jr. would be a phenomenal cover athlete for the show 22. And just look at this cover athlete design, dude. I got to shout this out again. Cardinals Reek, this is beautiful. Great job on this. This would be sick. All right, coming in at number 2, I mentioned this guy when we were talking about Vlad, and you might think, how the hell is this guy not your number 1 pick this year? I will explain why. I promise I do have a reason. Number 2, it's got to be Shohei Ohtani. Once again, shout out to Cardinals Reek. Beautiful cover design right here. Shohei Ohtani, man. I mean, we've never seen a season like that in the history of baseball. Shohei Ohtani isn't doing what Babe Ruth did. Babe Ruth didn't do anything as good as Shohei Ohtani did. He won the American League MVP. He was the ace of the Angels staff. He was insane in the DH position for them all year. He's a super fun guy to watch play the game. You can tell that he loves being out there. And I think the biggest thing with Ohtani being the cover athlete of MLB The Show 22 is the fact that he brings such a wide international audience to the game. Shohei Ohtani is one of the biggest names in sports right now just because of his international appeal. Yes, his play on the field speaks for itself, of course, but the fact that so many eyes are on the game now because of him, it makes too much sense for him to be on the cover. Plus, with MLB The Show being on Game Pass this past year on Xbox for the first time, they may even go to Switch and PC this year. We don't know yet. If you do all of those things and then bring in Shohei Ohtani as the cover athlete, you're looking at a possible boom for the game this year. And as an Angels fan, I would love to see him on the cover, of course. But no, he's not my number 1 pick, and that's for one reason. The reason is this lockout. Now, don't worry, we're still going to get MLB The Show this year. According to an article written on December 3rd, 2021 by Jake Seiner, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It's from abcnews.com. It says, even if games go on, MLB lockout could alienate Gen Z. It is an interesting article, but I'm going to focus on one paragraph in particular here. It says, while baseball was shut down at the height of the coronavirus pandemic, players like Blake Snell and Trevor May live streamed esports as a way of engaging with fans. If the lockout drags on, that may happen again. Notably, the MLB The Show video game has a licensing deal for player name, image, and likeness rights that exists outside the CBA, so its spring release won't be affected, the league said. That should be confirmation that we are getting the game this year. The lockout is not going to have an impact on the game releasing. However, I'm not so sure about the cover athlete because of the lockout this year. I think they have a couple good options they could go with right here. Number 1, they could put Shohei Ohtani on the cover of the game, but in street clothes, similar to how they did it with Bryce Harper in 19, where he was the cover athlete, and it was the whole saga of him signing with the Phillies, and they eventually changed it to a Phillies cover athlete with Harper on it. Maybe they could do the same thing again, where they put Ohtani in street clothes and then have him in an Angels uniform when the CBA is made and the lockout ends. But I just can't really see the Players Association wanting one of their players to be on the cover of the MLB licensed video game when there's this whole disagreement between them and the owners. It just kind of feels like a sticky situation. So I think this is the perfect year to have another legend cover, similar to how in 17 we had Griffey. Some people may or may not like this. My number 1 prediction for the cover athlete of the show 22 as of right now with the lockout going is Derek Jeter. Yes, I know, Derek Jeter on the cover of MLB The Show nowadays seems so weird, but hear me out, because you always got to talk about the whole crowd that comes at you saying Derek Jeter is overrated, didn't deserve his gold gloves, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I actually agree with you guys on a lot of points, but that's not what we're talking about in this video. We're talking about Derek Jeter as an icon of baseball and his status in the game. Whether you like him or not, or you think he's overrated, you can't deny that he is one of the most iconic figures in baseball in the past 50 years. Derek Jeter, in my opinion, is probably like the second biggest baseball video game cover athlete of all time behind only Griffey, and they've already done Griffey on 17. I think he makes a lot of sense. Plus, with the show 22, maybe they could do some fun marketing with that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. And going back to what we said earlier in this video, the cover athlete is a guy that will help drive sales of the game for this year. Derek Jeter, no matter what year it is, will be a huge get for MLB The Show. He will sell so many copies of this game. He makes a lot of sense to me this year. But let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Jeter would be a good cover athlete, a bad cover athlete? I'm not talking about how he would be in the game. That's a whole other discussion. I'm just talking about him being the cover athlete of the game this year. And hell, maybe if the lockout ends, they could do Shohei on the cover and Jeter as the legend cover. I don't know. So those are my predictions. I hope I explained my reasoning well. Down in the comments, let me know if you agree or disagree with it. I hope you guys had fun with this video. I hope we get news about the game here shortly. Hang in there, boys. We know it's coming. So drop a thumbs up on it if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.